Damien Schmidt on the Midday Mix.
So we have Dr Maureen Allem in studio, founder and medical director at Renewal, and we're chatting about sleep and its impact on longevity. Very, very important stuff. Dr Maureen, welcome to the show. So I suppose a good place to start off is in terms of sleep. We spoke about it quite often in previous conversations. Why do you guys regard it as such an important facet of your health?
Okay, so the more you read about the pillars of health, you get your pillars of health, and you realize that sleep is actually the foundation of these pillars. So the main pillars being nutrition, what you eat, stress management and exercise. And then that all stands on the foundation of sleep, because if you don't have sleep, all those other pillars fall down.
Yeah, most definitely. That's quite a bedrock there.
Yeah, because sleep is so important for, because if you have the proper sleep and you go through the proper sleep cycles, your hormones are regulated, your immune system is modulated. And if you don't get sleep, and just having less than 5 hours of sleep at night drops your natural killer cells, which fight off cancers and that. So that's why it's so important not only to get enough sleep between 7 and 9 hours, but to actually get all the sleep cycles in.
That's absolutely incredible how your body's kind of regulated. You think it's just to do with not being tired and be able to get through your day, but it's also putting aside major health concerns. So you mentioned the different sleep stages. It's obviously quite important to go through these every night.
And you should try get at least 5-6 of these sleep stages during the night. That's why it's so important to go to bed a few hours before midnight, because that's when most of your deep restorative sleep occurs. Then as you get towards the morning, you start getting more REM sleep, your rapid eye movement sleep, which is when your body, also your memory's back up, and you have, your dream sleep.
Okay.
So it's very important to get that right, to get your sleep cycles right, to get your circadian rhythm right. So, like a good sleep tip would be to go to bed within 1 or 2 hours, 1 hour. So go to bed the same time every night and wake up the same time every morning within an hour.
Okay. So set quite a good routine for when you're sleeping, when you're waking up.
Because then you start getting your circadian rhythms in, and each cell has a circadian clock which it runs to. So it's very important to get
keep all of that in sync.
To get your circadian rhythm in well regulated.
What would you say is the ideal amount of sleep? Like if in a perfect world, if you could get this amount of sleep, that's exactly what you need.
Like 8 hours a night would be good. 7 to 8 hours a night. And then getting all those stages of sleep, that deep restorative sleep. So what happens, women, people can't sleep. They land up with sleeping tablets or over-the-counter sleeping sleep aids. And all of that doesn't really help you sleep. It just sedates you. So it knocks your conscious mind out, but you're not getting those restorative and REM cycles. So it's actually affecting those cycles. And it's in that restorative cycle that your blood sugar is regulated. And during that phase of the sleep cycle, your whole heart relaxes, so it's time for your heart to recover. If you don't get that restorative sleep, then your heart is always on alert. So that's the time for your heart to recover and prepare you for the next day. So it's vital to get the restorative sleep for the immune system, for your sugar regulation, for your hormones. Even women trying to fall pregnant, you need to get that restorative sleep to get your hormone that stimulates your ovulation to work properly. So, and many don't sleep properly also have much lower testosterone levels than a person who does sleep properly.
Yeah, I was on sleeping tablets for like maybe a year, and it was absolutely terrible because, like you mentioned, you can feel you don't sleep. It's you kind of knocked out.
Yeah,
and then also you get to a point where you needed to sleep.
You become addicted to them. Because now this is the way you sleep. You can't sleep without them.
Yeah.
And if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel rested and you need a cup of coffee, then it means that you haven't slept well.
You haven't
got that restorative sleep.
Yeah. Only way to get off that is just to force yourself. Like I went through a stage where if I only slept for 2 hours, I'd wake up at a certain point, go through my day, sleep at a certain point, and then the body's amazing. You get to a point where it just reboots, and ever since then, very, very good sleep. Now, speaking of sleeping poorly, I mean, we live in an age where we're constantly busy, a lot of stress, a lot of factors that can affect your sleep. Is it possible to try and catch up on sleep?
You can have a nap in the day, but you need a full 90 minutes to get that full restorative sleep cycle, and you're never really going to catch up on that sleep. So maybe like a 20-minute sleep just to take a nap, but you're not really getting the benefits of full sleep. And then the more you nap during the day, the more you blunt there's another hormone that puts you to sleep, adenosine. So you don't want to nap too much in the day, because then you don't have that sleep, that sleep debt build-up, which makes you go to sleep at night.
Yeah, so you'll end up struggling.
Fine. Maybe a 20-minute nap is okay, but you cannot really catch up on your sleep.
Yeah, it's a quick cat nap.
Yeah, so like you try catch up on the weekends. No, that's not going to happen. You need to do this to get your circadian rhythms regularly. You have to do something consistently correct.
I suppose you've got to look at it like you treat your exercise, your diet. You don't diet or exercise, twice a week. It's a system.
Just for one day.
Yeah. Now, what kind of tips do you have for us to improve our sleep patterns? How can we kind of ensure that we are managing to get our circadian clocks in rhythm? And
so a big thing is blue light. So if you can power down like an hour or two before bed and not have any blue light, because it's the blue light from the TV screen, from the computer screen, from your iPad, tablets, from your phone, that enters your pupil, and then goes to a special nucleus that actually blunts the melatonin, because it's the melatonin that puts us to sleep at night. So if you blunt your melatonin, you can blunt it for 3 hours, you'll find that you'll struggle to sleep, because now you haven't got that normal surge of melatonin that's going to make you sleep, that put you to sleep. And melatonin also balances cortisol, so you're not getting that melatonin that you need. So number one, power down. Don't look at your iPad or your iPhone like an hour, at least an hour.
Yeah.
Preferably 2 hours before bed. Stop that blue light. If you are watching, you can put your TV and your iPad, not your TV, your iPad and your phone. You can get Flux, Flux on that. That's a good app that you can add to your phone. And you can also put the nighttime.
Night mode.
Night mode on your phones. That does help to to cut that blue light. And then, take it easy for an hour or two. Do things that are nice. Do like breathing exercises you can do to change the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. You get block breathing, which is very easy and cheap to do, where you breathe in for 4, hold it for 5, breathe out for 7. But breathing with your diaphragm, breathing with your abdomen and filling your lungs as well. So that's great because that changes sympathetic, because we're all in sympathetic all day, fight or flight all day. Now we need to get to the parasympathetic, because parasympathetic aids our sleep. So, taking a bath if you can, or taking a warm shower, because that drops your core body temperature.
Okay.
So that's very important. And then, dim the lights at night. Don't have these bright LED lights, because they're full of blue light. So don't have too many lights on at night. And also very important, don't drink coffee after 12 o'clock, because coffee's got quite a long half-life.
Yeah.
I think it's an 8-hour half-life. So if you have a cup of coffee at 12, you still got half your coffee in your body at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And the caffeine blunts that adenosine that puts you to sleep as well. Okay. So caffeine, don't drink caffeine. If you really have to have a decaf, but there is still caffeine in the decaf. And then having a cold room helps as well, because I don't know what's going to happen now in summer when it gets so hot. Don't sleep in heavy clothes. Don't have too many bedclothes on you as well. Keep your core body temperature, because that must drop for you to sleep well. And you can't believe how having a cooler room, how that impacts your sleep. It makes it, and improves it. And then don't have a heavy meal at night. Wait for at least 3 hours before you go to bed. You'll find that if you have a big steak and full-on meal, you'll find that your sleep's going to be very fitful, because your body now has to
try and
open
work
the kitchen
and break,
now.
break
the
everything
insulin,
down.
Part of your circadian rhythm, your insulin levels, reduce for the night, because now you're supposed to be sleeping, but now you're eating. So now the body's got to wake up and put this whole factory into motion to metabolize that huge piece of steak. So you'll find that if you drink at night and if you're eating a huge meal at night, your sleep won't be so great.
So there's a couple of things that you can do.
And then also alcohol. Don't drink. And according to Matthew Walker, he's been on a mission the last 2 years to try and get this whole notion of why we sleep, why it's so important to sleep. He's a professor from Berkeley, and that's all he does all day is, measure patients in the sleep lab, seeing what happens to their sleep cycles by doing certain things. And he he says the only time you can drink alcohol is in the morning, sadly, because you have to wait till that alcohol metabolizes by the time you go to bed at night. So that's quite sad. There's no like nightcap.
Yeah.
What the nightcap, you think it might put you to sleep, but it totally destroys your sleep cycle. You'll find your REM goes down, your deep sleep goes down.
So it's kind of like the like sleeping
goes
tablets.
up.
It might help you fall asleep, but it's not aiding you to sleep.
Yeah. So what sleeping tablets do is as I say, they block your cortex and they stop the acetylcholine release. And you need acetylcholine for brain function. So long-term sleeping tablets actually, there's a whole study that's come out where they've taken patients over 18 years, patients with Alzheimer's, and gone back to see what tablets they were, what medications they were on. And there's a whole different classes of medications that definitely, also promote or predispose you to Alzheimer's, which is because of that block of the acetylcholine that you need for your brain to function.
So stay away from those things.
And taking sleeping tablets as well has also been associated with higher rates of cancer.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you go look for Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, you'll see there's a lot of podcasts out there that Matthew Walker has done.
It's so funny that you mentioned his name. I actually, like a day before yesterday, I watched a podcast. He was on it.
Just to give you an idea, in this whole daylight saving, how that affects the whole world. It's like he says it's 1 billion plus experiment that they do by changing the daylight, by changing back and how it affects one's health.
Absolutely incredible.
How the incidence of heart attacks go up because you're changing that circadian rhythm.
So don't try and go back to natural.
Yeah, it's hard. So you got to do like natural things. Do all these sleep tips. I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, there's so much information out there from very reputable websites. 50, go into 50 tips on how to sleep. So many things you can do.
It may seem like a lot of things to do in the beginning, but once you get into the habit of it and you see how much your quality of life improves because you're sleeping better and your health's going up, it's more than worth it.
And actually exercise regularly also puts you in a better, much better chance of getting a good night's sleep. And not exercising too late at night because then you also, you wake your body up too much. So don't exercise for at least 3-4 hours before you go to bed. So all those things, you just have to take this seriously because if you don't, your health does get affected.
Fantastic. Dr. Maureen, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you and hope you have a fantastic week.
Great. Thanks, Damien.
Damien Schmidt on the Midday Mix.